when I think of Tesla, I always think of you. I remember you got the Roadster, which was the first Tesla car.
Right.
What attracted you back then, so early?
I remember like it was yesterday. Somebody hands me, I think, a New York Times article, and in there you have the picture of this sick-looking car, you know, 2007, saying first electric car, supercar performance. So I didn't even ask any questions. I went to the website. I went click, 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 add to cart, you know, and one click, and never regretted it. It's a phenomenal car. Yeah.
Self-driving mode.
But they're not going to know that
the
we're
vehicle is driving itself.
That's pretty cool.
And then I have the ability to adjust the distance between us and the next car. So I usually keep it around 3, but I can make it 2 or 1, and then I'll kind of adjust the distance. So let's keep it at 2. I guess that's a safe enough distance at this speed.
Hold on. Oh, shit! Oh, my God.
Slow down.
Holy crap.
You're going to be in the back of that.
And okay.
That was pretty good, though. That was fun. All right, we got to do that one more time.
Yeah. This does not get old.
Ooh, I definitely felt my stomach is like here.
The thing is, the sensation is, it's different than a regular combustion engine because you don't have any noise.
Yeah.
So like all of a sudden you're this just like, and then there's no real lag, right? Immediately.
Yeah, no, it's really like a ride
you
at
get
Disney
the full
World.
power
It's just
immediately.
Like you just go, yeah.
Right. You guys ready for one more little one?
One more, let's try another one. All right, here we go.
I won't go all the way.
Nobody's
to
behind you.
Yeah, wait, this is a perfect spot.
Oh!
Oh, shit.
Please don't hit the camera.
Or the dog.
Or the dog. All right, no more ludicrous mode for today. That was good. That was
let the car drive itself for a little bit. You guys can relax.
Yeah. It's different.
Remember, disclaimer, I don't normally drive like that. It was just for your show. Please do not report me to
this
anyone.
No, I would be the one in trouble for encouraging you to do it. So.
Yeah, it's we're just nice and relaxed. We should handle it very well. Nice visibility.
It is a little nerve-wracking when we go around a curve like that, and then you see 3 SUVs coming the other way. How soon do we have self-driving cars in mass production or in production out in the world for real?
Well, I mean, this is a self-driving car to an extent. I mean, so it kind of depends
I guess
on what your
fully
definition is.
autonomous. Like for example, like how soon before you're ordering an Uber and an Uber shows up with no driver and takes you wherever you need to go, and everyone is okay with that.
I think that's the real thing. I mean, from what I've heard and what I think we're at least a decade off because there's a lot of other pieces in the eco that have to kind of fit, such as the laws and regulations, insurance companies. There's a lot of things that really are part of the eco of driving that we don't really have answers for. Like for instance, if an autonomous car kills somebody, who's really liable? Is it the potential driver? Is it the company? Is it the manufacturer?
Is it the software developer? Right.
Absolutely. There's all kinds
of. We've had that happen already. Like in was it Phoenix, where the Uber car killed a pedestrian, and to me in that case, these cities are being really irresponsible by signing up to let all these companies test their software. Because I agree with you. I think it's going to be like 10 years, and I think it's like we talked earlier. I think software, you can get a lot done and really quickly the first 90%, but then that last 10% is all the really difficult edge cases that you have to test. I mean, in this case, that those bugs are killing people.
So you notice like just a little oddity there, just in terms of software. Yeah. So the car is driving itself. It's in auto steer. Yeah. I would have avoided the pothole, but it just ran right through the pothole.
Okay.
Yeah. So
So there's no pothole detection yet.
Yeah, not yet.
We need that in Atlanta for sure.
We sure do.
Steven, if somebody asks you, how do you define blockchain and Bitcoin and crypto? How do you explain it?
Well, I like to tell people that it's a database technology, and blockchain is a new type of database, a new approach to databases. So instead of having these centralized databases that we try to protect and guard against intrusion, and where only permissioned people can make sort of modifications to that database, a blockchain database is an open database where anyone can contribute as long as they craft modifications to the database that follow the rules of that database, what people refer to as the consensus rules. So this style of database is an open database that allows anybody to make modifications to it, and I see a world where you have millions of these blockchain-style databases all interconnecting with one another, and practically every database on the planet will eventually become a blockchain-style database.
How about you, Mark? How do you think about what blockchain is and what crypto is?
I like to emphasize the open source aspect, where indeed anybody can run an instance of that database, and in that sense you have an open access to the database. Now, Andreas Stepanopoulos, one of the guys who talks about this very well, says, well, if you can replace blockchain by database in the normal database sense, then you really shouldn't deal with blockchain. And not all applications require the level of security and lack of trust that blockchain demands.
You know, when I was first starting to understand or trying to understand blockchain technology and crypto, you were the one that really helped me kind of understand that the emphasis on trust and really distrust. I mean, when I think about somebody says to me, oh, we're going to build this platform in blockchain, the first thing I think, okay, is who don't you trust?
Exactly.
Because really that's what it's about. Because right now in common enterprise architecture today, we basically have a central server, a central database, central authority, someone that is controlling everything about that platform and that business. Think of Facebook. So you have Mark Zuckerberg and the Facebook is controlling that central giant database that has everybody's personal information, data, pictures, friends, social network, everything. And if there's a reason to distrust that, and recently there has been some reason to distrust, then that's when you can start thinking about, okay, let's take that away from a central service, a central database, and make it this distributed database that's owned through this network that's managed by not one entity, but by all participants in that network. And it's really about taking trust away. And when you think about Bitcoin, that was the original premise. It was like, okay, we don't trust the central governments of the world to have this currency. We're going to go create this new currency beyond borders, beyond, it's going to be a world currency that's managed by all the citizens of the world versus just like, the US or Japan or China or any one government, right?
After you establish, yes, you need trust, is this idea of, well, are you going to have a business model that really, at least in time, needs to be fully decentralized and needs to use the idea of a token to essentially help regulate it? Because that's so much at the heart of blockchain. I'm not a really big fan of private blockchains. I think in many cases, there's a few legitimate use cases for it, but I think in many cases, it's no more than a kind of a glamorized extranet, something like this. And I think that if you're going to go with if the end of the road is a private blockchain, really, why would you need a blockchain? Because ultimately, you're going to have a leader node that's going to, that's going to have a lot of control, a lot of power, the ability to be able to edit and verify and validate certain transactions, depending on how you configure it. So, all to say, I'm a big fan of the public blockchain network that I think is very, very, I think if you design it correctly, and that is a big if, it's very secure, it can certainly be fit for purpose for a number of different industries. But then you really have to think through the nuances of more than just the technology. It really is so much more. It really, how do you either adapt the business model to this decentralized way, or how do you use tokens to really maximize the security and value of the blockchain network?
I think what you're saying is that with the private blockchain, ultimately you end up with one entity that's controlling it anyway. So you're ending up trusting that one entity anyway. So you
Well,
can't-
But there are uses for that too. I mean, you
There
could have a private blockchain that's under one centralized administrative control, but it has a lot of value in terms of resilience against hacking. So from a security perspective, there's a lot of interesting applications.
And you do get some more
but I will say that
transparency.
I think in every situation where you think you need a private blockchain, we will find that actually that evolves into an open blockchain.
I think part of the other problem though with private blockchains, this is what I've seen in my world of healthcare, is you start with a finite set of partners in a consortia, as an example. That's a fairly common model. And that's good because they're known, you agree, you have some kind of governance. But then my concern is, and this is what some of the things that we evaluated, is what happens as that grows. Because now as that grows, do the founders still have the control? Is it some kind of a multi-signature consensus that you come up to? I think that the actual process, the business process and the governance for that gets pretty complicated unless and until you really think it through correctly at the beginning and have people buy in.
the cryptos and the values. You got Bitcoin, you got all these alternative coins, Ethereum, and there's, I don't know, thousands, there's new ones every day. And then there's ICOs, and then there's people that say, Bitcoin's going to 100,000, and there's people that say Bitcoin's going to 0.
I'll say very openly, as an investment thesis, that I believe it will reach $1 trillion by 2025, just at the pace it's growing, just because it's so compelling as a representation.